we'll have a good discussion, and I'm looking forward to getting into all these things with you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what agility is. So when I was thinking about agility, I sort of had this sort of vision of a vineyard, and I guess because I like wine. So I thought, well, you know what? Agility is a little bit like the soil, the preparation of the soil that you're going to start planting the vines in. And basically, agility is, for me, it's not just a technique or a pattern or a methodology. It really is about a mindset. It's about a mindset of being nimble, about being focused on speed to market, about being flexible, about having an open mind. There's kind of an old term called the beginner's mind in Buddhism, which basically says that when you come to the table, you come to the table with a beginner's mind. You ask questions. And the problem in many organizations is that when we ask questions, sometimes we feel that people will interpret that as, you know, we're not intelligent, or, you know, we don't know enough. But therein lies the opportunity to create great cultures. When we have a culture where everybody has this sort of beginner's mind of asking questions and not being afraid to admit that we don't know everything, that's when the learning and the growth and the collaboration can also take root. So, you know, these are all the standard things that we talk about. And, you know, agility really is, like I talked about, the soil. Well, by having the right soil in place, we can give birth basically to innovation, which are all the beautiful vines that will hopefully eventually grow the grapes so that we can eventually drink them. What agility is not. Agility is not about kind of anarchy, you know, chaos, sort of controlled chaos. And it's not a software development methodology. It's also not a new concept. So we've been talking about agility in different forms for probably eons in business. And not just in business, but in other disciplines as well. So the idea here is really, you know, again, to take away one key thing, it would be that we want to create a mindset of flexibility, of looking at things with fresh eyes, at being able to see a solution to a problem in a way that maybe didn't exist for us yesterday. So when we talk about values and principles, you know, there's the old saying that our good friend Steve Jobs made, which is a lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. Well, the same thing goes with agility. Agility is a form of kind of showing things to people, and then people realizing that out of that comes an opportunity to grow and to demonstrate value and achievement. So the first principle of agility really is people over process and tools. And what do we mean by this? It means that we have to put the onus on developing people, of putting together the right teams. And the right team is not necessarily all of the people that are, you know, very disruptive or super duper creative. A team can be made up of many different facets, many different kinds of people. And that's the key, is to really understand what we each bring to the table in terms of value and how we can collectively grow that value together. So the other aspect is really trying to create fun environments. And, you know, this is a theme you're going to hear a little bit more throughout, you know, this discussion today. people want to be inspired. People want to be fulfilled. We don't just do our jobs because we want to earn a paycheck. And having a work environment where basically you have the opportunity to grow, to expand, to develop, to try new things, where your unique capabilities are valued, is the right kind of soil that we want to have in an organization to give birth to agility. One aspect of agility as well is process. And you know, at ITS, you guys have gone through some phenomenal changes over the last 20 years or so. And you know, having worked in the industry for 30 years, I've worked with you guys for almost 20 years. And I've seen some incredible advancement, change, and growth here. At one point, I think, originally, the whole thing about process was that there wasn't enough of it 20 years ago. And today, I think you have great processes, but in order to be truly agile, you have to decide what processes still work and make sense and which don't. And some processes you can't fool around with because, they're things like lights on, data centers, etc. But there are other things that you can sort of, again, tweak to reduce some of the cumbersome elements of the process. So for example, as I travel across the Ontario government, the feedback I get from the clusters is HR. HR is one of the processes that people get really frustrated about because they feel like it takes such a long time to bring in the right people into the OPS. And there's so many hoops that have to be jumped over. And, again, the question becomes, when do we actually decide that this makes sense or that this needs to be changed? If you're going to have an agile environment, it's a very multidisciplinary environment. It's not just about technology expertise. It's about HR. It's about finance. It's about leadership. It's about governance. It's about organizational change management. So we have to look at things like HR processes. And as a management team, we have to figure out a way to streamline some of these processes so that we can allow people to be more effective, to be quicker to market if they need particular types of expertise, whether they are permanent staff, whether they are management staff, or whether they are temporary workers, whatever it happens to be. The other aspect is, again, planning. And my background is managing very large programs and portfolios, and I can tell you plans are very, very important, and project planning and stage gating and all of that kind of stuff. But there comes a time when you realize in the course of the work that you do with your clients that sometimes those plans don't make sense after an initiative has been underway for a few months. So the question becomes, how do we build plans that are relevant but also flexible, that can be tweaked, that can be changed, and that can be perhaps expanded upon at the right time, rather than spending so much time at the front end of an initiative with such detailed planning, which eventually, as it goes through its life cycle, it actually becomes irrelevant. So these are balancing acts as an organization we have to start thinking about if we want to be truly agile. Working prototypes over excessive documentation, same kind of thing. Instead of spending a lot of money and a lot of time looking at a huge change initiative, let's break it down into its smallest components and work on incremental change. let's use prototyping or piloting or proof of concepts to basically get this sort of thought process underway. And let's make it a part of, for example, our stage gate process. Let's make it a part of our culture to always test things out with our clients. When we look back here at customer collaboration, working with our customers to understand from their perspective whether this is appropriate, whether it makes sense, whether it's going to help them. Because oftentimes we believe we have the solution to the problem, but we often do it in a vacuum. We do it based on what we're comfortable with, what we have been doing for many, many years, and we make assumptions too about our clients. Again, I'm working with many of the clusters, and what I can see is they're going through huge change in terms of their thought processes about what makes them relevant, what gives them value as an organization. And when they start to rethink how they're going to deliver their services, and they probably already have come to you saying, we're going to change certain things. So for example, many of the clusters are looking at how to implement innovation, how to formalize it, how to implement digital strategy. They're still figuring it out, but once they have figured it out, it's going to have an impact on you. And so really, the thing I want to leave you with is keeping an open mind, having that feedback loop where you get feedback from your customers and you have the flexibility to modify, to change, to tweak, and then to test that change back with your client to see if it's something that works, if it resonates with them, if it makes sense. And that's how you create, in my mind, an agile organization. It's that constant tweaking, those incremental improvements, rather than, huge monumental change. There is a time for huge monumental change, absolutely. But if you look at monumental change, it's typically a series of incremental changes.